Hello everyone. Welcome to Basics of ABAP by Discovering ABAP. I'm Jagdish Patil and I'm going to take you through how to write a report using object-oriented programming. So today we are going to create a report. We will initially create a report which is using subroutines, and then later we will convert it to an object-oriented report. So I'll start with creating a program. This is the program name that I've given, and then I'll click on create. We'll say this is say a sales order report. We'll select the type as executable program and then say save. We'll save it as a local object. And here we can start creating a selection screen. So typical program will have a selection screen, and then it can have initialization. After initialization, it can have start of selection. If there are any validations, we will have at selection screen events, and then after start of selection we will have end of selection where we will display the report. So typically we will have a selection screen. Say for example, we have selection screen begin of block B1, and then we will have selection screen end of that block. We will give it a frame and a title. We'll store the title in text. So text, you can also go to the text from go to text elements and you will see the text. Here you can maintain the text that you want to assign to the frame title. So I'll say sales order selection, activate, come back, activate, and then you can add some fields. So I'm going to add a select option, s underscore order for VBAK-VBELN. And since I'm using this in the select option, I'll have to declare this as tables. I can also create a variable and give a variable reference, but here I'm using a table. We'll activate the report once and just check that it is appearing. We'll give a name to this select option using go to text elements. And from text element, we'll navigate to the other tab, which is selection text. We can select DDIC reference, which says sales document. I'm fine with this description, so I'll just activate it. And now you have the selection screen. The next that what we are going to do is we will add code in the start of selection. For the demonstration purpose, I'm keeping these two sections blank, so I'll just comment it out. So here what we will do is we'll write a perform, say get sales orders, and then we will write a perform in end of selection. We will say perform display sales orders, and we'll create this perform. We can create this perform in other include, or we can create it in the same include. Similarly, we'll create the other perform, double click, create it in the same include. Okay, now we have the perform, so we can write code to get the sales orders. So we'll get sales orders from say VBAK and VBAP table. So let us write a join for that. So we'll say select a few fields from VBAK. So we'll say select from VBAK, inner join VBAP on VBAK VBELN. equal to VBAP, VBELN. That is the matching condition between these two tables. So our join is ready, and then I'll write keyword fields, and here I'll write the fields that I need. So I can type in the fields and then it will show me the options. So I want VBELN and then few more fields. I'll just go to VBAK and pick few fields from here. So say for example, I want VB type and then I want AUART and then I want the sales area. So I'll pick a few fields, come back here and add these fields. So I want VB type and then I want AUART. So this would depend on the requirement that we have got in the functional design specification, which fields we need. So we will select the fields accordingly. So here I'm just selecting some of the fields, which I think are the most relevant for the sales order report. And then we can select some fields from the VBAP. Wherever the fields are common, like VBLN is common between VBAK and VBAP, we need to write this tilde symbol along with the table name as a prefix to the field. Otherwise, we can write the field name as it is. And then let us select some fields from VBAP. So let us go to VBAP. What all we can select? We'll select Posner and Matner. And then maybe we'll select fields like the net value. You can select net PR and the currency reference for that, that is WAERK. Select Posner, Matner, net NetPR. I'm just to get the field name. I've added this. It's not mandatory. We can then add the currency field as well. So as a good practice, I'll still suggest you to go ahead and add these. So these are the table references for each of the field. All right, so we have selected the field list. Now we can put a where condition where VB, VBAK, VBELN is in the selection screen select option. Okay, we need to use at the rate. So I missed to use at the rate. Okay, without into clause is not allowed. So I missed into clause also. So I'll add the into clause saying into table at the rate data LT underscore order. Okay, and as we need this data as a global data, we'll have to declare a table with this fields. So we can go at the top and before or after the selection screen, we can declare a table. I'll do it before the selection screen. I'll say types and begin of ty underscore orders. I'll write all the field names that I want. Then end of ty underscore orders. Here we will need the field names reference with a dash. I'll make the adjustments here. you might be thinking that this is not the way we declare the table. We first write the field name and then the data references, and that is correct. But I'll do that as well. I'm just making all the fields in proper indentation sequence, and then I'll use the block copy to move these fields around. Okay, now it's taking a shape that we want. I'll use the block copy here again. Okay, I activated the type. Now I need a data as well. So I'll say data gt underscore orders type standard table of ty underscore standard table of ty underscore orders. And instead of writing the data into the local table, we can move the data into the global table. That is gt underscore orders. All right, now you will write the display part. Now for the display part, typically what we do is we write the reuse ALV grid display. So we will get into pattern, we'll say reuse ALV grid display. And we'll get this grid display table. We will give the orders, and we'll also need to pass the field catalog. So to build the field catalog, we'll say this is lt underscore fcat, or we'll say field catalog. And we need to declare the table here. We can look at the type from the function module. The type for the table is this. We'll copy the type. I will declare that here data lt underscore field underscore cat type. This is a table type, and then I'll declare ls underscore field cat as type, and I'll pick up the line type from here. This is the line type. And then we will need to populate the field catalog as well. So usually to populate the field catalog, we will either use the reuse ALV merge field catalog function module, or we will create the function, create this field catalog on our own. So to create on our own, we will go to this, and this is a list type group, and in list type group, we have this field cat ALV. So I'll open this in other tab so that we can easily copy paste it. Okay, so typical fields that we use here is the column position, the field name, the table name. If there are reference fields that we need to pass for the currency, if it's a key, we can use that. So we will just add few fields and then build field catalog for a couple of fields just to show how it works. So we'll say clear ls underscore field cat, ls underscore field cat dash column position is equal to 1, and then ls field cat dash field name is equal to whatever is the field name. We'll pull this up, split into two so that we can see the field names. So the first field name is BBELN. The next field uh, from the field catalog that we are going to use is the table name. So we'll get the tab name equal to GT underscore orders. And then we'll add some descriptions. These are the these are the description fields. And we'll add the description as say order number. And at the end we'll say append ls field cat to lt field cat. And we'll repeat this process for all the fields. So say we are doing it for the field Posner. We'll say this is the item number. And for short description, we'll say it, this is an item. So I'll add only two fields. We are not doing the full report here. We are just doing the demo to see how we usually write it in the classical way and how we are going to move it to the object-oriented way. Okay, so now let us execute this. And we see the order number and the item number is there. There is no data. So we can see why the data is not populated. We can put a breakpoint here. So the table has the data, but it gets wiped out. Okay, so it must be in the definition. So we are saying into table at the rate data. So this is declaring it as a local table instead of a global table, which I had done earlier. So now this becomes a global table and now we should get the data. I'll remove the breakpoint. So now you can see the data is appearing. Okay. So now only thing that needs to be done is the populate the field catalog for all the fields. Once that is done, the report will be displayed correctly. Now, if this is not an interactive report, we could do this with a factory method. If it's an interactive method, we can do this with the grid class method. So we will use the factory method because we are not building an interactive report. It's just a demonstration of how you can move the report writing method to object-oriented ways of writing reports. So with object-oriented, what we are going to do first here is that instead of creating the performs, instead of creating the types outside, we will do these inside a class. So if you want a reference for this kind of code, so you can use the Discovering ABAP site. So go to Discovering ABAP, go to the SAP ABAP code samples, or you can also go to Object-Oriented ABAP. And in the Object-Oriented ABAP, you have this ABAP code sample. Subroutines are obsolete. New program structure with classes. So here you will find a sample program structure with classes that you can use. So what we will do is we will just copy this code. So this is the entire class code, and we will use this code to write another report. So we'll say setjp underscore OOABAP underscore 5, and we'll say create. This is the order report, and we'll select executable program, save, local object, and we'll write this code. We'll use our other program to modify this code. So here what we do is we create a local class. In the local class, we have a public section where we will have any constants that we want to use. So we have declared this as a constant. If we need types, we can declare the types. So here we have a type, so we will declare that as a type. When we are working with classes, we should also declare the uh, table type if you are going to use it. So you can declare a table type, orders type, standard table of TY orders. And we need to complete the definition with empty key. If you want to specify the keys, you can specify the keys, but at least you need to add the addition with empty key. Then we have a constructor where we're importing the data. So this is basically the data from the selection screen. Here we want to import the data from the selection screen, and the selection screen has the sales order select option. So here we need to import a sales order select option. So let us look for a select option type of table for this particular data element if it is already created. So we'll go to the data element, go to where use list, select table types, and we'll select something that looks like a range. So this is the range table for sales document. So this is a range table for select document. This RTTY, this looks like a select sales order document range table. So we can use this as well. So we will declare a range for the uh, select option, that is the sales order. So we'll say gr underscore orders, type this. Okay, we should not use the word ranges for uh, any of the field in object oriented way. And I added the code in the wrong program, so let me correct it and add it in this. You'll typically add the data in the private section. So let me add the data here. I will also create a table gt underscore orders, type gt underscore orders. We can also move the types to the private section. We don't need it outside the class, so we can move it to that section. I'll remove some of the things which are not required. For the constructor, we need constructor importing gr orders. We'll call it as importing ranges for orders. In the methods, we will say it's not display flights or get flights, but it is get orders and display orders. Okay, so you can see how easy it was to replace the data, which is the dummy data from the flight model, with our actual variables. And then similarly, we need to adjust the class implementation. So in the constructor, what we are going to do is we will clear the gt underscore orders table. This is we are initializing, and based on whatever we are getting from the constructor, we will say gr orders equal to ir orders. So our constructor is adjusted. The next process is the start report process. So here we are writing a call to get the data. So we will replace that with gt orders equal to get orders. Then if the gt orders is initial, we will say there is no data found. We can create this message in a message class, or we can create this as a text element. So we go back, and then we will also replace this call with display orders. The next method that we need to adjust is this. So this is get flights. Instead of that, we will write get orders. We will say clear RT orders, and we will populate these RT orders based on the code that we have written in the other program. Okay, the next uh, method to adjust it display. In the display also, we will say display orders, and all we need to do is just change this table. So this is changed to GT orders, and you have your report ready. This is one more text element that we need to create. We'll create it, activate, and activate this. Okay, S order is unknown. So let us say, okay. So we'll replace it with IR orders, which is known inside the class. It should actually be GR order. So this is unknown. The GR orders is known. So let us make it GR orders. Carrier is not existing. So this is part of the code where we are calling uh, the particular class. But before that, we need to adjust the selection screen. So we'll go to the selection screen and we'll adjust the selection screen. Instead of parameters, we have a select option, and the title of the selection screen. We already have a title here, so let us copy it from here. Activate. We need to declare VBake as tables. Then we will use this to pass the data. So we'll say IR orders is equal to GR orders, or this is in fact sales or select option. Then rest of the code will remain the same, and we'll just activate it. Just name, some name has S in it, some doesn't, so some typing error. So we'll just quickly correct the typing error, and now the code is activated. Now let us execute this, and we can see that the report is created for all the fields. Okay, we can go to the text element, then go to the selection text and make this selection text coming from dictionary. And now all our report is fine. So the selection screen is proper. We can execute and we can get this. We can probably enter the selection screen data as say give me orders from 11 to 20 and then execute, and you have only those orders. Okay, so let us recap of what we did. So we first created a program using the classic way of developing the report, that is using the subroutines and the function module to display the report. Here, instead of doing that, what we are doing is we are creating a local class. In the local class, in the public section, we have a constant and couple of methods to uh, pass the data to the class, that is the constructor, and then the method to start the report process. In the start report process, we are calling other methods like the getting the orders and then displaying the orders. The get order code is there in the earlier program in the perform. Here it is within the class method. Similarly, the display code is within the perform in the earlier method, but in the object oriented method, it is there in the class method. And then we have a selection screen. In the program, we simply create instance of the class or object of a class, and based on that object, we will start the report process. If we get any error, we'll show the error and we'll go back to the selection screen. So this is how you can easily convert your reports to object-oriented way of writing reports. This is all for today. Thank you for joining. Have a nice day. Bye.